Call the meeting to order. If you would please stand for our invocation and pledge. Our gracious Heavenly Father, I want to thank you, Lord, for the many blessings of life, for allowing us to gather freely, Lord, to make the best decisions possible. Please help us, Lord, to do so for the people of Pickens County. Father, I pray that you'll be with our county officials, lead and guide and direct them. Lord, I pray that they will seek your wisdom, not man's wisdom, but thy wisdom, Lord. Be with our nation, be with our nation's soldiers and our first responders that keeps us safe and take care of us. Again, go with us throughout the rest of this meeting. Bless all these many blessings and favors we ask in thy Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Keep turning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 is old business. We have no old business. Item 3 is new business. We have one item on the agenda, a variance request. I'd like to ask Wes what to tell us about this request. We got one more coming.
Somebody's going to leave the back door.
Sorry.
Oh, did you try and go in the back?
I was watching.
That's okay. I needed the exercise anyway.
Wes,
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Ron. Wes, if you could tell us what about this variance request in the county's opinion.
Okay. This is variance number 2022-190345. It's in the West District. Applicant Tina Chambers on behalf of Cherokee Window and Door. The location is 67 Chambers Way, Jasper, Georgia 30143. Parcel ID is 065-094-403. The lot size is 2.2 acres. The road access is Canton Road, Old Highway 5. Let me see if that's filled. Nope. And developed, the current land use is developed highway business, and its use is highway business, our business. The variance request is for a variance for the requirements of Pickens County Code Ordinances, sections 38-855 and 38-856 and 67-10-3 through 5. 25 foot in the rear of the property, and the purpose is to request so Cherokee Windows and Door can install a 30 by 150 foot metal building along the rear property line. So it's asking for a 25 foot variance that it would make the end result 15 foot. I just want to make sure it will work.
The buffer would be 15 foot.
That would be not only the buffer, the total. Let me see what I'm trying to say here. Because buffer is different from the setback. Okay, and anything that's commercial next to anything that is not commercial. You see the northeast, south, and west property owners, and the comprehensive plan is the suburban infill area. You see the 4 questions, and this is the first variance that I've done, and I don't know if I'm supposed to read those. Y'all see the 4 questions? If you have any questions there, we can discuss them, unless you want me to read them.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, as you can see the slides on the wall, that you can see you should have them in your packet too, but I'm just looking to see the audience can see the various parts. It is the ones in blue on the right, and on the left. And as you can see, the area that is cleared. Note that the cars in the rear are already parked on the property line. There should be a 40-foot setback, and there should be a 30-foot vegetative buffer. in addition to a fence. Okay,
But there is no fence there now?
there is a fence, but there is not a vegetative buffer nor a setback. And is there a previous slide to that?
There's one after, and it's
Okay,
almost
one
up,
after,
so
okay, because I was not paying attention, I was reading, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Okay, that is
see,
the-
it's all,
Okay.
out of whack.
That's the proposed survey. And then the next one is her renderings of the proposed survey, the one that would have the variance and the one that would not. Okay, the one on the right would be what the variance would be. I mean, the current setbacks and the vegetative buffer.
So they wouldn't be able to park behind that building?
Sir?
They wouldn't be able to park behind, they put it in B?
No, they would not. That would be a vegetative
That would be
buffer
the bump area?
and the fence, correct.
What have you been parking back there?
It's just parking for trailers and four-wheelers. We have a gentleman up in our midsection there. Our land is 3 acres.
Right.
There's a top almost 1 acre, and then it's like a middle over an acre, and then the bottom is just less than an acre. In our middle lot, we have a guy that does like ATV repairs. So the ones that are waiting to be repaired are parked down in there, and the trailers that they bring them in and out on. And then there's a guy that keeps empty those big tanks inside those metal cage, the big square tanks inside the metal cages. He keeps empty ones
Totes.
down there. Yes.
Now, this is next to like Jeff Dobson auction.
Yeah, two places
Right.
down from that. Yeah, there's an RV storage place in between us.
Right.
The vegetative buffer, we've never had that. I didn't even really know anything about that. We've always parked along there. I didn't really know anything about having a vegetative buffer. We have a fence, but I didn't realize we were supposed to have that. We've always parked all along in that area there.
So that parking, what is used now, it's not yours, that's another guy's.
No, it's mine.
It's your property, but it's not your vehicle.
They're my renters. It's a,
Rental.
yes, it's a business that I run right there. It is my property. Yes.
But it's their,
And there's my stuff there as well. I have trucks, I have trailers, I own a window and door company as well. So I have 2 Isuzu box trucks that are parked there. I had a dump trailer, I sold that. But I have utility trailers and stuff that are parked there as well.
Now,
And a jet ski.
and a jet ski, okay. Now, I've gone back into the time on the county websites, and you can go back to 2015 and 2018. And in 2015, there was a vegetative buffer. In 2018, it was skint. They just took out everything, bare earth. But you can see it. And I had pictures, I don't know.
I mean, I know there was, I'm not saying there wasn't there. I'm saying I didn't know that there was supposed to be a certain distance of. There still is trees and bushes and stuff between our gravel parking lot and the tree line, but I think it's about 8 feet. I don't think it's whatever you said it was supposed to be. It's
Right.
still there.
And it's just one of those that we did a history on, as far as, I do it for every property that we look at, just to make sure I understand where it was. And it is on the website, so it's easy to see. As I move on though, and of course, we'll probably be through by the time Phil gets down here, but he said he's on his way. In this, that the minimum setbacks are 40 foot. The minimum buffer, which is fence and vegetative buffer, spacings of plants and trees, is 30. In any commercial to residential adjoining owners, okay? Now, behind here, there is subdivision. There's 2 homes within 200 feet of the property. And I live out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of neat, but you don't see your neighbors until the winter. Okay, when the leaves go off the trees, I can see them. And that would be the only concern that I would have for the residential property owners in Ivy Ridge. Variances in these conditions and these settings are tough. The recommendation from the staff and myself is to be denied. I have a real problem with encroachment of businesses on residential properties. That is my opinion, although looking at all of the various codes, the variance request will be contrary to code section 6710-3.5, setbacks, minimum side rear abutting rural residential, suburban residential, or urban residential shall be 40 feet. Buffer requirements to minimize future potential conflicts between non-compatible land uses and to protect the health, safety, and general welfare. A buffer shall be required whenever 2 adjoining properties are in different land use districts as shown in table 613, which has a buffer 2 requirement, being not less than 30 feet and shall consist of plantings plus a fence. Planting shall consist of trees, shrubs, or any combinations thereof. 6710-5. So those are the reason I made these recommendations.
Have you read all about making a smaller building? Does it have to be that big?
I have. I mean, I can go over mine.
I just was
Yeah,
curious if
yeah.
you had come up with
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Okay,
definitely
okay.
open to some other things, but I think I have some ideas and stuff that he might understand as well. I understand his objection based on the rules and all, I mean, I get it. I live out in the country too, and I don't wanna, see a septic company or something in my backyard as well. But I have a solution for that as well, so if I may.
Sure, always.
So, a little packet for you guys. And it's not to scale, and I'm not an artist. I don't have programs on my computer that allow me to make everything picture perfect and stuff. So if you'll bear with me on my drawings. So I'll just flip through. Shouldn't take me too long. Page 1 is, as you know, just the plat. The green line is the line that we're talking about. On page 1, actually that was just my cover page. Page 1, need my glasses.
So, excuse me if I may, just real quick. So if the building were to be built, how much space would there be between the back of the building to the property line?
What we're looking at doing, I guess I lost my glasses somewhere along the way. I did not realize that there was such a large buffer for,
Right.
it was a parking lot. I thought like the vegetative stuff, I didn't realize that was for like a gravel parking lot. I thought it was for buildings and stuff like that. We were looking at replacing where we've been parking there for years with a building. Basically to kind of cover that up and make it look better. In our opinion, that's what we're doing. So and I've driven down this street here and looked through the woods to see what our place looks like. We try to keep it really clean. I'm a bit of a neat freak. From his back deck to the property line is roughly 150 feet. The Q Public website is not exact when you look at the property line, so it's off. But when you're looking at 150 feet out, if you start at 150 feet from the eye and you go out another 15 feet or another 45 feet, that difference between the 15 and the 45 is kind of hard to tell. If you're standing here, the difference between 15 and 45 is a big difference. But when you're starting out at 150 feet, it's kind of difficult to tell. So if you look at page 2, the reason that this variance would benefit us is this green loop here just showing where it gives us more access to the center of our property where we can turn trailers and we have a better turning radius and stuff, and we get the most advantage of the land that we purchased. This gray area here is basically covering over on top of those vehicles and trailers and stuff that we're currently parking. So from his back deck in the winter, when those leaves aren't there, he's looking at trailers and trucks and whatever else might be parked there at the time. Where in our view, if we put a metal building there, he's going to be looking at the back of a metal building, and it'll be a clean back of a metal building. If you turn the page, the green line would be if we had to bring the building in towards the middle of the parking lot more, looking down at it, we would still be able to do it. It's feasible. It's not optimal for us. It's still doable. We would have to loop around the building, but if you look at his vantage point from his deck at this point, he's now going to be looking at the trucks and the trailers or whatever we park there and the building. And at this point, we would have to access the building now from both sides instead of just the one side. So now there's going to be roll-up doors down that side as well. So by putting the building back, it does him a favor by making it one clean wall, and it does us a favor by giving us the turning radius on the bigger access point of the road. On the next page, it's just kind of blown up a little bit where you can see looking down, there's stuff there now. Basically, I would just be covering it up and cleaning it up. And we're figuring with a 14-foot wall, 14-foot tall wall, it blocks his view of everything that's there. So we're not adding any kind of a commercial business there that's doing anything different than what we're doing now. So we're not putting in doing highway business of some sort of like a trash company or something like that. We're cleaning up what we're already doing. On the next page, I stood, the top picture is me standing somewhat on the property line. It's a ditch down in there, and there's a creek that runs through there and stuff, so you can't really do anything with the vegetation. But I'm standing down, and I took a picture. So there's a hillside that goes up to there. So this is just, and then this is looking down. So I'm talking about putting a building along this tree line here. That's looking at his property from our property. So on the next page, I tried to do what it would look like for him if we got the variance, if we set our building towards, and we got the variance, we could put the back of our metal building in green and make it look like vegetation. We wouldn't have a problem with that whatsoever. We could make it blend with nature. On the next page, if we had to do the setback, that kind of gives it a little bit more look of what he would be looking at. If we didn't get the variance and we had to move the building to the middle of the lot, he would then see the stuff parked in front of it, the roll-up doors, and the building. So we feel that we're also doing him a favor by giving him a one clean building look. It blocks the view of all of it, and it also blocks any potential sound coming from that parking lot. And then on the last page, that's the page of stuff that I found could be a potential problem with it, other than the stuff that I guess is written in the book about trees, because I didn't know that part. Absolutely nothing. I think it does him a favor. I also think that it's a good answer for the future, because if we were to sell our property, say in 5 years, who knows what the next guy's gonna do with that lot? He could park all kinds of crazy stuff down there. He could use the buffer and put some bushes in there. He could scrape the gravel back, and he could totally comply by the books now. But within his rights, he could put pink elephants and make it look like junk. So at least what I'm proposing now would stop any future junk from being in that lot as well.
So you said you're gonna have to have roll-up doors on both sides of the building?
If we can set it back far enough and we can use the turning radius in the front, Our building will be able to use all the way through, and we'll make it deep, and we'll go all the way in this way. If I have to move it out to the front, I can't use the depth of it, so I'm gonna have to split it down the middle, and I'm gonna have to use this side and this side, so I'll have to have double the amount of roll-up doors to get the use of my space.
What are you putting in there?
ATVs, the ATV repair and the ATVs that are currently parked outside, they'll be parked inside.
On page 5, if you look at that for a second, the picture on the bottom, you can see the trailer that we're looking at on the top,
Yes,
okay? Which is where you stood to take the picture.
yes.
How far behind you is that fence from the back of this trailer, approximately?
Approximately. That's a car, like just a tow dolly type trailer, and I'm
Yeah.
standing on the edge of it. Our gravel goes maybe another 2 feet to there, then there's like a drop off, and the fence is maybe another 10 feet to the fence.
Okay. And how tall of a fence is it? Because it almost looks like the top of it's level with your parking lot.
It's about a 6 or 8 foot fence, and it is, but it's leaned over right now. We've had a bunch of storm damage.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna repair the fence when we do all the work.
Okay, so,
We've gotta lift it all back up again. We have a bunch of drainage from our neighbor's land that came down through, and it's actually the guy behind us, his land is washed out back there in that ditch on his side
yeah.
that pulled the fence down. So we're gonna go back there and clean it all up. So although I do understand why you denied it, absolutely, I do also understand that that is the point of a variance. That everything doesn't always have to be by the book, that there are other situations that make sense.
Now, one time, Ms. Chambers, wasn't there a detention pond back there?
There was.
And
All
that
of
was
our,
supposed to collect the water that was now going on the neighbor's property?
no. The water that was for that detention, there's never been any water in that detention pond. The water that I'm talking about that was going onto the neighbor's property is coming from David Strauss's property over here and cuts down like this, down the backside, and cuts this very back corner of ours and ruts out underneath our fence behind, right here. It had nothing to do with our detention pond. His runoff cuts this man's property.
Any other questions from Ms. Chambers? Or for Wes?
Must have a lot of business with ATV.
We do. Yeah, we're also gonna be doing like minor boat repair and stuff like that, ATV boat, sea-doos, that kind of stuff, recreational type vehicles. We used to own a hot rod shop right there in that middle lot. Whew. Glad that's over with.
So you really have no idea who tore down the buffer, the vegetation?
No, I'm saying we did. There wasn't like a big tree like buffer vegetation, anything like that. It's always been where we had a top lot, the middle lot, and then it dropped down into the bottom lot. And it was like shrubbery, weeds, that kind of stuff was the vegetation down there. And we put gravel on top of the vegetation down there where everything was level, where it was a level lot, but where it dropped off onto the creeks and stuff like that, that's where we left it alone, which was along the property line about 8 to 10 feet back. We didn't touch that vegetation. So there was vegetation there. But I didn't realize when we did that, that we were supposed to leave those weeds more and not put our gravel that far. I thought vegetation buffers and stuff like that were for building codes, not gravel parking lots. So yes, we did smush the vegetation, the weeds, when we put the gravel in.
But there's no trees or
No.
plants per se?
No, no.
I don't mean to sound mean or anything, but it just, if you were doing that along the way and doing an investigation, if you had to get a permit or something like that, it just,
It's less than an acre, and Roy,
dogs.
he was out there when we were cleaning it up and clearing all the shrubbery and making all the mess and all that, but we didn't have to get a permit because it's less than an acre out there.
Okay.
Does that apply to commercial or just residential? Less than an acre?
Now, tell me again.
She said it's less than an acre. I asked a question.
Correct, yes.
Does that apply to commercial like it does with residential?
It does. We would like to change that, and all commercial should require getting a permit just because, but right now it applies to residential as well as commercial.
We were following the rules, what we were doing back then, and Roy was out there, and he didn't tell us anything about that. We didn't know. I mean, I'm not saying
No,
that.
that's correct. She's right.
I'm not saying that being naive is an excuse to break the law, but I'm just saying that that's how it all went down back then. I didn't know.
Any other questions for Ms. Chambers or for Wes?
Yeah, well, I've got a question, it'd be for either one of you or both of you. Has anybody talked to this homeowner whose deck is 150 foot away from the property? I mean, has the homeowners come and said, hey, you know, any complaints or, you know, about what's going on, or do they even know that you want to put a building there?
When I submitted the application, on the application, it asked me for everybody that was surrounding, and I put his information in top line and said that he was the one. And when I paid the money and read the thing, it said that that's what that was for, was, I guess, that everybody got notified.
Everyone was given notice, yes.
Yeah,
That
I
it
give
was-
notice, so I mean, I just wondered if you had heard anything, you know,
We don't
positive,
call them.
negative,
We
either or
don't call
nothing.
them.
I had not heard
They don't
anything.
call.
Did you try and contact them?
I didn't know if it'd be appropriate for me to knock on his door. I mean, we've had conversations about dogs and stuff
Yeah,
yelling back and forth from the parking lot to his deck before, but I figured there was a method to the madness, so I didn't
yeah, I just,
overstep.
No, we don't go contact them other than.
And
they get a notice that this is going on, and it's their discretion if they want to show up
And
or
there's
not.
public notices as well.
yeah, it was, and there's a big sign, I mean, not that that guy drives by, but there's also a sign posted outside my entrance
Yeah.
on my side.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions or comments?
Not at this time, sir.
Do we have a move to either approve or deny the variance request?
So moved.
We'll hear a second.
We don't need to discuss it amongst ourselves.
That's after a second.
He seconded.
No, he made a
I made a
move.
motion.
He made a motion, now I need a second.
Oh, second.
Was the motion to approve or?
To, yeah,
Approve or
to
deny.
approve, to approve. It either needs to be to approve or to deny.
Okay.
So.
To approve.
To approve. Now I need a second to approve. Pardon?
That's the, no, I ain't gonna second
I'll second.
Second to approve.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion?
Can't discuss it without it being on the, yeah. You made the motion to approve the variance, correct?
Ron, yes, Ron made,
Yeah.
right, made the motion to approve, you second.
Yes, sir,
Yeah, right,
I
right.
second it so we can discuss it.
Right, so now we can discuss it.
All right. What was your reason same as mine, or do you have a reason for,
I just want to bring it up.
okay, that's what, you know, so if there is any.
I'm calling the question, I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
No, that's, you didn't want a second, is there a reason?
it. Yeah, I think we need to go with the Plan B. To me would be more feasible. Then you wouldn't have to worry about it. And there's still work, what she's talking about. It's my, it's the way I.
Yeah,
So let me see if I understand this. You're saying you think we should approve the building being further in with the doors all on both sides?
No, because that's not the motion. We either have to deny that, and then she will have to come back and fly back through the building.
Well, let me, excuse, Wes, if this motion is denied to approve the variance request, she is free to go with option B, to move the building.
She can do that as a matter of right.
Right, I was gonna say,
Right.
we don't have to vote on that.
No, but she does have to go ahead and put up the buffer
Right,
and the vegetation and repair the fence.
right.
Right, she has to practice permit for that.
Right.
No,
Once
sir.
that's approved, but she does it.
She doesn't have to have a permit to do that, she just has to do it. The permit for, the permit
She'd
for
have
the
to have a
building.
permit for the building, yes.
The permit for the building, but not for the 40 feet will be mandatory, and then the 30-foot buffer. She doesn't have to have a permit to do that. She does have to have a permit for the building. Correct.
So it's, my building would have to be from the property line 40 feet?
Correct.
Is that,
That's correct.
and the buffer is from the property line 30 feet? Okay, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, that's it.
Right. That's
I'm like, I'm out of property if we're adding these together.
That's
Okay,
Correct,
so
correct.
40 feet in from the property line, if I don't get a variance, the building actually won't even fit. Because I would have to put it over on my septic field line, and I can't do that. Because 40 feet.
You have to have that big a building for that.
That's not even, the problem isn't even the depth of the building. The length of my building is not the problem, apparently, it's just the depth, and I only have my depth. What he's saying is that now that I'm learning is that where I have my, where I thought that this 40, he's saying I would have to go from here 40 feet in, which would put it here, which would make my building come over here. I have a septic field line over here. I can't move it over
How wide
anymore.
is your building? How big a boat?
25 to 30.
Wide.
Deep. Because that's the depth of a vehicle or a boat, or that's a working depth of a vehicle or a boat or anything, to be able to get it in and close the door. So because I have septic field lines in here, I have to stay off of that a certain amount.
Right.
So I would, without a variance, I can't do it. And if I don't get the variance, that neighbor has to look at all that.
But he's looking at it now.
And if I don't get the building, he's gonna keep looking at it, I guess.
No, we would require the buffer.
Well, if I don't build a building at all, then if I don't get the variance, I can't do anything with it.
No, but you wouldn't be able to park against the fence.
I'd just move, I'd have to move everything up,
And you'd have to provide the vegetation that was.
plant some trees.
Now, Mr. Schaus, which is next to you, he complies with the variance, and but I guess his is at an angle also. so-
It's at an angle, he's in compliance.
And I'm just trying to figure out what you're showing here is at an angle. You don't show that distance.
I don't, where I'm not following you.
You don't show the distance from here to here.
What do you mean? What distance?
That corner from there to the property line. You're not showing that distance.
Well, I don't know it exactly because this Q Public thing isn't actually like that. It actually goes over this way. It's hard for me to, that's why I was saying, it's hard for me to put this on this. I was trying to use the overall of the parking lot where it's showing because this property line where the Q Public blue line is actually supposed to be over here more. It's not,
Oh, I understand. It's, no, it was a proposal. Okay. Now, you have property in the front of your property too, on the other acreage that doesn't appear to have anything on it.
correct.
What does it do?
It's gonna be retail one day.
That right there, yeah.
I'm trying to get my bearings.
Do I need to come?
On page
Highway
1.
5.
Yeah, Highway 5 is over here. And this is Schaus's property.
South, you know?
Yes.
Okay,
Wait a minute. Now I'm trying to get my bearings. Yes, right here.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
But these lines here
Yeah,
that are supposed to be my property lines aren't correct.
I believe you.
Like, they're supposed to be like that more.
I believe
And his
you.
too.
I've used that before, yeah. They once had a property line going right through a house.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
No, sir.
Could you build it in front of your house? Like, you don't like you had an open area in front, could you build it there?
Not for this type of business, no. Our top lot has been divided off and is a separate entity at this point, and it's going to be a retail location.
Is that the one up at the very top on Highway 5?
Yes.
You just took the fence down and you fixed to put another fence up. Is that the piece you talking about?
That's a piece that eventually we're planning for a retail location.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any other,
No.
any other discussion, questions?
I reckon I got one.
So there's no further discussion. All those in favor of approving the variance request, please raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. Motion is denied.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time today.
Item 5 is board comments. Are there any other board comments? And also make note that denied unanimously. Any public comments? Item 6, hear a motion to adjourn. Motion is seconded. Meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all for